What's up everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video. A few days ago, or a few weeks ago by the time you're watching this, I put up a poll asking what if mini you guys wanted me to do next. And one of the options was this one, giving Piccolo Kaioken. There's a reason that this is a what if mini. And it's not a bad reason. It's actually a very, very good thing. You'll see what I mean as this video goes on. So, can Piccolo getting Kaioken really affect the story that much? Well, we'll be finding that out today. For this video, we'll set a like goal of 3,500 likes. Anyways, let's begin this scenario. So this might not seem like much, but giving more power to one of the most intelligent and pragmatic fighters in a realistic way will really impact the story. And this isn't even that far out of reach. It's not something absurd like giving Piccolo Super Saiyan or whatever, something impossible. No, this is definitely possible, and it could still happen for all we know. As I mentioned, we'll be covering Z only, and this is going to start around after the time Trunks shows up. Once he shows up and tells everyone about the androids, Piccolo is interested in different types of training. Of course, he's going to be training regardless to prepare for the androids, but he's interested in Kaioken after seeing Goku use it. Goku hasn't been using it much anymore. Ever since he got Super Saiyan, he's more so focused on that. But Piccolo thinks he can make this work for himself. Kaioken does seem very draining, but he has an advantage. Besides the fact that Kaioken is pretty draining on stamina, there's also the fact that it'll literally tear your body apart. Goku's always sore after using it, depending on what level he uses. He could either be in immense pain, to the point where he can't even move anymore, or at the very least, even at a low level, it's definitely gonna do some damage to his muscles and hurt him a bit. Piccolo might not have that problem. As a Namekian, he can regenerate, and he can regenerate pretty efficiently by now. Of course, it's not like he can do this infinitely. Regeneration does lower his stamina a bit, but with Kaioken, it'll be at such small levels that it might not even matter. And if anything, this will also help him practice regeneration. He'll be killing two birds with one stone. Getting Kaioken will make him stronger, he'll be able to practice it, and he'll be able to get better at regeneration. Actually, you know what? I guess it's three birds with one stone. Even better than he considered before. So, he goes up to Kami. He has a request, more so a demand. He wants Kami to send him to King Kai again. He was already there before, and King Kai definitely would welcome him. And he kind of wishes he learned more about this while he was there. He did learn a little bit about it while he was on that planet. At least in the scenario, we're going to go with that story. But now, he actually needs to learn how to use it. And King Kai is actually very welcoming of Piccolo. Piccolo is one of the strongest people besides the Saiyans. Actually, outside of the Saiyans, he is the strongest. And with his unique physiology compared to everyone else, he definitely will be a good student there. Crossing Snake Way is no issue for him. By now, the characters are so fast that this would probably take minutes, not even, and King Kai's impressed with how quickly he made it there. But he's not going to go easy with the training. He wants Piccolo to train as hard as possible for this. When he taught Goku it, Goku was at a much lower level starting. He couldn't even handle the gravity of the planet, but Piccolo's already used to this gravity here. He was already on the planet before, after all. And with how high his power is by now, King Kai wants a more intense training for him. At first, it does take a bit getting used to, but eventually, he is able to learn Kaioken pretty quickly, actually. King Kai teaches him the basics, and now Piccolo has to work on perfecting it more and more, trying to use it at higher and higher levels. The best part is, Goku already did this all on his own. He didn't need to go to King Kai to get more training with it. King Kai says he can go back to Earth, and it probably would be better for him. King Kai can only teach him so much, and at a certain point, the gravity of this planet isn't really going to have an effect on him. But he has a gravity chamber on Earth. He could use that, train with people there that are already stronger. And with all that, he can improve Kaioken on his own. He believes Piccolo can do it. He is pretty smart after all. And with his advantage of regeneration, this could help him even further. So, he does return to Earth, going back to his normal training with everyone, and they're glad to see that he has this new power for himself. But he's also going to spend some time training alone too, using the gravity chamber at least whenever Vegito's not using it for himself. Obviously, he can handle times 10 with ease. He needs to go up beyond that. First to times 50, then 100, then 200. He needs to use as much gravity as possible, not only to make himself stronger, but to improve Kaioken. Combining Kaioken training with high gravity training is really going to make it tough for him, but it'll mean he'll see significant gains as well. Now with that brief backstory out of the way, let's skip forward a bit, up to when the androids actually arrive. For the sake of the story, let's say their introduction goes exactly like normal. Goku's heart virus kicks in, 19 is killed, and 20 is able to escape and then activate 17 and 18. Oh yeah, and Trunks is back. He's glad to see that everyone's training has paid off. But he is concerned about these other androids. He's seen that Vegeta's had his fun, and Vegeta's definitely not going to be a match for these androids. Now it's time for Piccolo to show off his power. He's able to go to really high levels with Kaioken, and one of the best levels he has is times 50. It's basically around the same strength as Super Saiyan. Of course, he could go beyond that, but this is the most efficient in his eyes. It doesn't have as much stamina drain as the higher levels, but it gives him a huge boost in power still. The group's actually amazed at Piccolo's strength. He might be one of the strongest here, not just because of Kaioken, but his training helped his base in general. Although, even with this massive boost in power, two androids together are still too much. Maybe if the group worked all together with Piccolo there, they could take on one of the androids, but with both of them combined, that's not going to work. We saw how it went originally, and even with Piccolo's strength increase here, it's not going to cause much difference. But at least he's able to gauge his strength here, and they're able to do more to the androids than they did before, which was essentially nothing. And it still kind of is essentially nothing, but hey, At least they're not completely decimated. But these androids really are a big threat. He was barely able to injure them. He only left a couple scratches, while the androids are so far ahead of him, and they were basically taunting everyone the entire time. They didn't even have to strain themselves and use full power or whatever. But Piccolo knows what he must do now. He ends up fusing with Kami like normal. And obviously I've already made it significantly stronger than before. But this, with Kami fusing in him, this is gonna heavily change things in the story. With Kaioken times 50 before fusing, he was able to kind of take on the androids. Even going beyond that to times 100, he was able to leave a few marks like I said, but the androids are still so far ahead. But now that he fused with Kami, combined with the fact that his base is stronger anyways, he's the strongest in the group, and this already happened in the main story anyways. He already did become the strongest by this point. But now, the gap is even wider, like significantly wider. There's only one way I could really display this, by showing his fight with the androids again. Well, first he of course encounters Cell, but Cell's crafty and is able to escape quickly. Piccolo would have decimated him regardless, even without his power-ups here. But then he goes to face off against the androids once more. First is his fight against Android 17. In the main story, they are even, and now Piccolo is stronger in base, plus he has Kaioken. He doesn't even need to use Kaioken times 2, he's already above the Android 17. Of course 17 has infinite energy, but even without using Kaioken, Piccolo has more strength regardless. He doesn't even need to use his full power. He's amazed. He knew fusing with Kami would give him a huge boost, but not like this. 17 is getting pushed back more and more, and 18 decides that she needs to join it. He's fighting both of the androids at once, and he goes only into Kaioken times 2. Just Kaioken times 2. And that's enough to make him stronger than both of them combined. Not just stronger, faster, more defensive. Combine that with his brilliant techniques and fighting style. He's taking on the androids effortlessly. And amidst the fight, his power is so strong that he doesn't even know how to contain it himself, and he accidentally ends up killing Android 17 before he wants to. Oh, well that's good. So he defeated one of the androids, and now there's only 2 left. 17's death only angers 18, making her enraged beyond belief, and 16 ends up joining in too. He needs to fight even before Goku arrives. He recognizes that Piccolo's a huge threat. He knew once he came here and he scanned him and saw that it wasn't actually Piccolo. It was a new Namekian essentially. But this is worse than he expected. 16 is definitely stronger than the other 2 androids, but still, Piccolo's able to take him and 18 on at the same time. But then he senses something nearby. It's Cell. Great, 3 androids at once. But this shouldn't be that bad. And he does something interesting. He splits himself into 2. And it cuts his power in half, but then each of the clones powers up into Kaioken, using Kaioken times 4. So there's basically 2 Piccolos that are twice as strong as normal. Easy math, Piccolo divided by 2 times 4. But recognizing how big of a threat Cell is, he needs to make this quick. One of his clones finishes off Android 18, then only taking on Android 16 alone. The other Piccolo decides to fight Cell, and Cell is amazed too. Piccolo notes that Cell is stronger, but Cell can also see that Piccolo is stronger, much stronger than before, even when he split himself up into 2. But Cell is pissed beyond belief. He sees that the androids are dead, 17 and 18 at least. 16 is gonna do him no good. He's mechanical purely. So Cell has no option here. He needs to absorb Piccolo. He needs to stab him, take all of his power. That's the only way he can get stronger, but even then, he won't be able to attain perfection. In a fit of rage, he powers up, showing more power than even he knew he had. The other Piccolo finishes off Android 16 around the same time, and someone then attacks Cell from behind. He turns around, seeing another Piccolo. Both of the Piccolos attack at once. And then, each Piccolo splits into 2 once again. Also buffing Kaioken. He's being attacked by 4 Piccolos. Of course, that means their power is cut into 4. But it doesn't matter. Each of them is using Kaioken, even going into times 20, which is effortless for Piccolo. Even while he's split, that just shows how strong he is with this. And everyone can sense Piccolo's power from far away. Ten's even watching nearby too, thinking Piccolo might need help, but he was completely wrong. He's hovering over the island and watches as 4 Piccolos effortlessly fight Cell. And then something amazing happens. Within an instant, all the 4 Piccolos merge into 1 again. He can tell he doesn't need this much power, but he's gonna use it anyways. He just wants to test his limits. He goes into Kaioken times 100, and it seems he has no issue doing this at all. Of course, his power is amazing, but Piccolo is essentially blinding by this point. His aura is massive, encapsulating the entire island. The red glow can even be seen far away at Kame House. And with a single attack, a well-placed Masenko, Cell is completely and utterly obliterated, and with how much power Piccolo is using, it doesn't even leave a single bit of him behind. Cell's not gonna regenerate from this. Piccolo has taken victory, not only over the other androids, but Cell too. Everyone watching from the lookout is completely astounded. Even from within the room of spirit and time, Vegeta and Trunks can tell what's going on. That's how huge his power was. Of course, even with the androids gone, Goku and Gohan still want to go in there and train a little bit. They do need to get ahead of Vegeta and Trunks after all. And the best part is, Trunks still did get the power that he needed, so he can go back and defeat the androids on his own. He doesn't even need to use the self-destruct remote like they were planning. But really, Piccolo is that strong? They never expected this from him. Well, he's done a bunch of amazing things before, so they're not too surprised. So of course this is going to have huge consequences later on. First of all, the androids are going to remain dead. So, sorry Krillin, he's not going to marry Android 18 here. But he'll probably still find a girlfriend anyways. I mean, he hasn't had an issue with that before, and that's not really a big deal either way. More importantly, there's the fact that Goku is still alive. He didn't get killed, and he and Gohan still got their training in. They probably wouldn't have been training as hard, but they definitely wouldn't have been slacking off either. So maybe he's not around the same strength that he was, but he still is close, and he has achieved a more efficient form of Super Saiyan. And since Piccolo's Kami too, he goes back to King Kai. I mean, he can go whenever he wants, and Dende's able to grant him permission. Oh yeah, Dende still does become Guardian after all. But even then, Piccolo could do whatever he wants. He's part Kami. He's able to go between Otherworld, showing King Kai what he's capable of, and King Kai's amazed. He pushed Kaioken to that level, and Piccolo knows he can go beyond that. Times 200 isn't out of reach. Maybe even beyond that. He even ends up learning the Spirit Bomb while he's there, wanting to learn whatever he can from King Kai. Kaioken was a huge help, and that Spirit Bomb thing that Goku used was pretty cool, so maybe he can make use of it too. With Goku alive, this does make things very good on Earth too. For one, he's actually there when Goten's born, but also, he's gonna be around Gohan a lot more, and probably rub off on him a bit. Gohan probably wouldn't slack off on training, especially with Piccolo there too being much more motivated as well. With both Piccolo and Goku there encouraging him, this is really gonna motivate Gohan. And even Goten a bit too, because Goku's there the entire time. He's not just gonna have to train with Chi-Chi. He has Gohan, Piccolo, and Goku. And of course this does affect Trunks too. But there's also Vegeta. Without Goku dead, Vegeta has no resentment because he could fight Goku whenever he wants. They can settle the score whenever Vegeta feels the need to. Everyone's gonna be stronger besides Goku because Goku can't just train 24/7 like he did in Otherworld. And he's not gonna have access to some of the things he had there. He's never gonna learn Fusion, and he probably won't even tap into Super Saiyan 3 just yet. Maybe he'll know there's a level beyond Super Saiyan 2, but first he'll have to actually access that. And sometime over the 7 years, they probably would find a way to do so. While Piccolo just continues to improve Kaioken for himself, while also getting a better grip on his regeneration, making Kaioken that much more efficient. And you can probably see where I'm going with this. So I know it's kind of a joke in my what ifs that the Buu Saga never happens, and yeah, as sad as I am to say, it's not gonna happen here. I don't have anything against the Buu Saga, it's just that it's kind of easily avoidable. Especially with Vegeta being in such a good mood here, he's not gonna turn into Majin Vegeta, and Piccolo definitely couldn't get possessed either. And with how strong everyone is, the Boar's not gonna be an issue. Piccolo could probably take him on with ease. Hell, I'd even say Goku, Vegeta, or Gohan could do the same too. And with that, they're able to avoid Buu's revival pretty easily, which means the tournament can go on as normal. So let's kind of skip the tournament and go into the Final Four. Even if there's no Buu Saga, we could at least have a tournament saga. The Final Four goes as follows. One of the brackets is Gohan versus Piccolo, and the other is Goku versus Vegeta. Piccolo's excited for this fight, an all-out battle between master and student. And surprisingly, Gohan has grown really strong. By now he does have Super Saiyan 2. And he probably is even beyond where he was originally because he is training more. And I love Great Saiyaman, so he still is Great Saiyaman too. There's no reason to change that here either. If anything, being the Great Saiyaman and being around Videl motivates him even more for training. But still, even with Gohan's insane strength, even Piccolo is still beyond him. He does have to push himself, using Kaioken times 200, even going beyond that. But with how effortlessly he can use it now, it's not as bad as you might think. He ends up defeating Gohan, and then next is Goku versus Vegeta. With them training together pretty consistently and around the same level, this is going to be a very close fight. And no, Goku's not holding back here. He's actually going all out, as is Vegeta. The two have fought before during the 7 years, but Vegeta's prepared now. He feels he could win against Kakarot finally. And he has been training very hard. And even though Goku's won most of the fights against him before, as this battle goes on, Vegeta slowly gets the upper hand. It's a very long and strenuous battle, but in the end, Vegeta surprisingly ends up beating Goku. Damn, he didn't know Vegeta actually got ahead of him. But this will mean Goku's gonna push himself even further in the future. And it was really close after all. The two are both very beat up and out of energy. And they're both content with the fight. It shows where they are in terms of strength. But also in terms of strategy. That also helped Vegeta get an upper hand. Not that Goku didn't have any strategy himself. It's just Vegeta out-strategized him and overpowered him slightly, very slightly. But now for the most important match, the finals, Piccolo versus Vegeta. Vegeta fully heals up. They have a Senzu Bean and he uses it. He wants to fight Piccolo at full strength. If he was able to defeat Gohan that easily, he's definitely going to be a challenge. Piccolo was actually surprised that Vegeta won. He was kind of looking forward to a rematch with Goku. After the 23rd World Tournament, he'd want to win this one. But Vegeta, that's still a good opponent. This will be an interesting battle. Vegeta powers up, going into Super Saiyan 2 right away. He tells Piccolo not to hold back at all. Alright, Piccolo powers up, shouting Kaioken, times 500. Wait, times 500? Goku's amazed, he's only ever gone up to times 20. He's kind of been sleeping on Kaioken since Namek. And Piccolo's at times 500? Piccolo tells Vegeta this is his favorite level right now. Of course he could go beyond it, but this is the most efficient without completely ripping his body apart. The aura alone generates a shockwave so massive that even the audience can feel it, creating strong gusts of wind and illuminating the entire area red once again. Vegeta told him not to hold back after all, so he's not. The two clash, clashing so quickly that no one can even see what's going on. The fight ascends up into the sky. Vegeta can't hit Piccolo at all. He dodges so quickly, but Piccolo, he's able to hit Vegeta a lot, and each hit is powerful, very powerful. Slowly and surely, Vegeta's being worn out. But he backs up. Piccolo's definitely ahead, but he's gonna finish this. He charges up a massive final flash, wanting to see how Piccolo's gonna counter this. But Piccolo tells Vegeta it's already over. And then Vegeta looks up. Around him, he's surrounded by a bunch of ki blasts. He tries to launch the final flash, but it's already too late. The Hell's Own grenade descends upon him, creating a massive explosion above the arena. Vegeta falls to the ground, defeated. Even though he didn't win the tournament, it's fine. That was a great fight, and he didn't expect Piccolo to be that strong. But Piccolo's impressed with Vegeta's strength too, as well as everyone else. He is very worn out here, and he had to max out Kaioken to times 500. Well, I say max out, but he could probably go beyond that. He's still working towards higher levels, and he knows he could still improve it even more than it has now. But where will he go next in terms of power? So since this is going to be kind of quick, I have to also breeze through a couple of things, especially stuff that doesn't really involve Piccolo too much. We're going to be covering everything up into the Tournament of Power, like I said, and a lot has changed. Not just because Piccolo is stronger, but because we're actually using him in the story. He's going to be a huge and essential part to the series now. Don't be surprised if this affects characters' actions, because that's the point. Piccolo's more involved, so he'll have way more influence on other characters too. Not just Goku, but Vegeta, Gohan, everyone else that's involved. First off, we get to Battle of Gods. And this isn't really going to involve Piccolo too much. Piccolo might end up having a fight with Beerus. I feel like this would definitely happen because Beerus would notice his strength, and he would be one of the strongest on Earth, so Beerus would definitely want to fight him. It's a shame. If only there was something like a Namekian god. But whatever, he's here for the Super Saiyan god. And a lot of this pretty much goes like normal, so we can kind of breeze through it. Goku becomes a Super Saiyan god, he fights Beerus, and eventually, he and Vegeta begin training with Beerus and Whis. Piccolo does consider training with them too. But he's gonna need to wait a bit because Beerus and Whis don't really care too much about him. They want to just focus on the Super Saiyan god right now. So, Piccolo does remain on Earth for the time being. Although, he does have an opportunity to shine. This is going to be the chance to prove himself to Beerus and Whis, allowing him to actually train on that planet. Resurrection F begins to happen. And thankfully, with Piccolo and Gohan being so much stronger here, they're not actually going to need Goku and Vegeta. Frieza is of course revived, and as soon as he and his army arrive to Earth, well, they pretty easily defeat the army, that's not even an issue. But Frieza himself, he definitely has been getting a lot stronger, and he eventually does transform into his golden form. Piccolo and Gohan are impressed by this, but not too impressed. With their combined strength, they're probably going to be able to defeat Frieza. A fight ensues. And pretty much like I've said in my other videos, there's not too much I can do to make Resurrection F interesting, so yeah, it's basically just a fight between Frieza and everyone. But Piccolo and Gohan are able to pull ahead, and without Goku and Vegeta there, it shows off their strength too. They're able to use their full power for once. This is finally an opponent that could test their full strength. Frieza is very strong, don't get me wrong. But these two combined, they're able to overcome him, defeat him, and kill him for good. Resurrection F has been avoided, and now, Beerus and Whis are interested in these two as well. Gohan opts to stay on Earth, but as for Piccolo, yeah, he's definitely gonna go along and train with them. Maybe there is such a thing as a Namekian god. Beerus doesn't know for sure, but I mean, if Saiyans can do it, who knows, maybe Namekians can. They have magical abilities and stuff, and with their unique physiology and backstory, maybe there is something that they can unlock for him. Who knows though? More time ends up passing, and eventually we do get to the Universe 6 tournament, and I kind of hate covering the tournaments in all honesty. We've come to this agreement, right? So we can also rush through this kinda. I know, sorry that I'm rushing through every part of the story, but we're only trying to focus on the stuff that really affects Piccolo a lot. And the next arc definitely is going to, so we'll be having more focus on that. But in terms of this arc, again, it's just a fight between a bunch of people. It's a tournament. There's not really much to make it interesting. The team will be Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin. And conceptually, it's kind of uninteresting to begin with, but this outcome is going to be even less interesting because realistically, it's just going to be Piccolo along the way. Piccolo beats Potamo, then he beats Frost, then he beats Magetta, then he beats Kappa. Piccolo almost beats Hit, but this is where he actually gets defeated. He just swept 4 of Universe 6's members, and now it's just Hit there. But with Namekian God and Kaioken, he is able to push Hit back a bit, although it's not clearly enough. However, Goku comes in right after. He and Piccolo have been training. When Vegeta and Goku went into the Room of Spirit and Time before, Piccolo went in with them as well, and Goku's been training for something different. Of course, they have been trying to get more control on Blue, making it stronger and all. But as with Piccolo, he decides to get Goku to focus on Kaioken again. Goku ended up discovering that maybe he could use Blue with Kaioken together. With the control of Blue combined with the strength of Kaioken, it could really work. And with the help of Piccolo there, Piccolo's able to help Goku get more practice with Kaioken. It has been a while after all, and Piccolo can show him some new techniques and tricks with it, as well as training him the most efficient way possible. Goku ends up going to Blue Kaioken against Hit, and he has more control in it, even able to do it to higher levels. He doesn't pull out just Kaioken times 10, he pulls out Kaioken times 20, and unlike originally, he knows it doesn't have a risk of making him just explode out of pure power. He actually does have a handle on it, which is why he's able to go up so high right now. Kaioken times 20 is only something he accessed later on in the story, but he has it earlier on now. And of course, he's going to be able to easily defeat Hit here. And it's not like the fight just ends. Of course, he does want to see Hit go all out, but Kaioken times 20 is so strong that Goku doesn't even know his own strength, and he accidentally does knock Hit out of the ring, so it ends just like that. But Hit's impressed, and the two of them definitely want to see more of each other in the future. Champa is furious though. One fighter took out 4 people, and then another came in and just defeated Hit, his strongest person. Goku and Vegeta aren't too surprised, but Vegeta's kind of schmizzed. He did want to fight after all. And Kakarot is way ahead of him from now that he sees this. He needs to get something for himself, some new form of blue to actually go ahead of Goku. But he doesn't know how he'll do that or if that's even possible. That remains to be seen though. Next, we go into the Goku Black arc. After Goku's performance in the Universe 6 tournament, Zamasu does end up stealing his body. Once Goku Black shows up in the past to follow Trunks, this is where we start seeing some major changes to this arc. At first, Piccolo's going to try and encourage Goku to finish the fight now. Don't play around. Goku's only in Super Saiyan 2, and Goku Black is able to contend with him. But Piccolo realizes that this guy is dangerous. He's just in his base right now, and he's still contending with Goku in this form. It's really bad. He's probably way stronger than they expect, and he wants Goku to finish this right now. They have no idea of what he's capable of, how strong he can grow, what abilities he has, who he even is after all. The safest option isn't to leave him unchecked, it's to kill him right here and right now. And that's not how Goku operates. It's not like he's trying to spare Goku Black or anything. He's just trying to enjoy this fight right now and gauge his strength. But he realizes that Piccolo's right. Okay, it probably is best for him to kill Goku Black. He powers up, going into Super Saiyan God. Goku Black's amazed by this power. That's the godly power that he was using during the tournament. Of course, the hair's a different color, but he could sense that godly aura coming out of him. But recognizing the strength, he knows that he might need to escape by now. This alerts him, and he starts to open a portal to try and go back to the future. As Goku charges up an attack, someone else is charging up an attack too. On the ground, Piccolo's charging up a massive Masenko. And Goku Black's about to enter his portal. But right before he does, he's hit from a Kamehameha by Goku and a Masenko from Piccolo. Both of them are so fast and so powerful that he can't dodge it. And both of the beams are launched right through the portal alongside Goku Black. Zamasu sees this. The portal appears and a giant beam of energy flies through it. It even hits him, disintegrating him a bit, but he regenerates. But where's Goku Black? He sees him nowhere. There's some remains of him, such as pieces of his clothing, but he can't sense him anywhere. That blast, it must have actually killed him. Why didn't he become immortal? That was so stupid. And now he's dead. The power of those two mortals combined, that was enough to defeat him. And it wasn't even their full power either. What the hell is this? Zamasu is furious. Furious beyond belief. Trunks escaped, and now all of this happened. Whatever, he's the immortal one. He'll take matters into his own hands. Immediately after seeing Goku Black die, Zamasu then jumps through the portal. No one knew it was him, but now they could clearly see who's responsible for this. That explains that weird presence around Goku Black, the time ring and the Potara earring. And Beerus and Whis immediately see what's going on too. But let's see how these mortals handle it first. Immediately Zamasu goes for Piccolo. He's an issue. He's one of the strongest and he works too fast. Zamasu might be able to kill him right away. Piccolo launches a powerful attack, but it does absolutely nothing. Of course, it does damage Zamasu, but he immediately regenerates from it. They still don't know that he's immortal. What the hell is this regeneration ability? They've never encountered anything like it, at least to this extent they haven't. Goku jumps in too, trying to attack as well, and his attacks do nothing either. What the hell is up with this guy? The two keep attacking Zamasu, but nothing happens. Although, Zamasu gets cocky during his monologue. He explains what he's trying to accomplish, and he eventually does let it slip that he is immortal. Not that this will give him a disadvantage or anything, but it lets them know why he won't die, and lets them know that they can't kill him. Crap, what are they supposed to do now? You know what? Zamasu might not be able to fight them, but he has a better idea. In terms of magic, he's so far above them, even if his pure strength and ki aren't above them. He turns towards Piccolo, immediately paralyzing him with magic. This is perfect. Even if these people are strong, who cares? His magic is so far above them that he can just seal them away. This will work. Or at least, he thinks so. Beerus then intervenes. This guy's getting annoying. He's immortal, and now he's trying to seal away his students. Beerus isn't going to settle for that, and Zamasu turns to him laughing. What, he thinks this Kai's gonna work? He's immortal, he's not gonna kill him. And Beerus says yeah, it probably won't work, but he has a better solution. He has sealed Kai's away before, so maybe he could do that same thing here. Wait, what does he mean by that? He sealed a Kai away before? Beerus says don't ask too many questions. In his hands he has a sword, another Z sword. What is he gonna do with that? Zamasu is beginning to get nervous. And within the blink of an eye, he's sealed away within this. Beerus commends the mortals for their effort, but he says there's nothing they could have done against this immortal. Although, if they want, they can keep this sword as a souvenir. He has nothing else to do with it. Just make sure not to break it or else he'll be freed. Wow, they weren't aware Beerus could do that, and this is the first time he actually got involved and did something. But he saw how potentially dangerous this could be, especially if Zeno found out. I mean, someone time traveling, a Kai trying to kill all the mortals, stealing people's bodies. Yeah, he didn't want to let this get out of hand because if Zeno found out, well, they'd all be dead. Probably not just this timeline either. Although, they do need to take care of Zamasu in this timeline, but he and Whis will handle that. The mortals defeated that Goku imposter, who they assume was also just Zamasu using Goku's body. Not that it matters anymore, Beerus turns to Trunks. He'll just forget all the time travel nonsense. He'll sweep this under the rug as long as Trunks doesn't do it again. And Trunks is pretty terrified of this guy, so he agrees. He thanks everyone for their help, going back to his timeline which is now safe from Goku Black and Zamasu. And next up, we're going to be heading into the Tournament of Power. But first we need to formulate a team. After the time skip, a bunch of stuff happens in between then. Mainly with training. Vegeta eventually does access something above Blue Kaioken, or at least something on par with it. He gets Blue Evolution. This will be his own form. This will be his own evolution in power. It's going to be amazing. He's going to work on this even more to make it even stronger, and he'll get ahead of Kakarot and Piccolo. As for Piccolo though, he eventually does unlock a new evolution of Namekian God, which we'll just call Super Namekian God. It's a blue-eyed form pretty much like Super Saiyan Blue. This is his next evolution of it. If you haven't already noticed, I'm taking these two forms from Dragon Ball Heroes because this is what Namekian God forms look like anyways, which isn't much different from normal Namekians, so, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can see in the eyes, and I guess that's enough, right? It's basically the same thing as Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue, although with a Namekian flair. And of course, Piccolo is going to be practicing with Kaioken with this. But still, even with all this great strength, the group's worried that they might not have enough people for the team, so now they're going to actually need to recruit all these people from Earth. Will they actually find enough strong fighters? Well, Beerus has a great idea. Piccolo's going to be the leader. He seems the most pragmatic of the two, and he could probably formulate a good team. And he has some good ideas. Of course, it's him, Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan on the team too. So, 4 people right there, all of whom are very strong. Goten and Trunks might be able to join as well. They have been training more than normal, and even though they are kind of inexperienced, this would be a perfect opportunity for them to get that experience. And maybe they are strong enough to actually help out here. Who knows though? But hey, that's 6 fighters. Next up, they can get some of the humans. Krillin, Tenshinhan, Roshi, and Yamcha. 4 more people equaling 10 fighters. Of course, the humans aren't really that strong compared to the Saiyans and Piccolo, but still, they are strong and very strategic fighters. That's how they've made it this far as warriors. Even though they're not the strongest people, their strength, their strategy, and their combined knowledge will actually help them a lot during this tournament. They'll be very valuable assets to the team. There's no androids and no Frieza here, which is why they had this issue. But still, they were able to get 10 people, which is perfect. They got humans and hybrids who have all kept up training. And they also have the Saiyans, and Piccolo of course, whose strength has already been discussed in depth by now. So even though we're missing some people on the team, if anything, this team might actually be better than normal. Right off the bat, there's a ton of changes with the Tournament of Power. Besides the changes to the team that we covered in the last part, there's another thing that I do want to note. Piccolo's the leader here, like I discussed before. Now, this might not seem like a major change, but it's actually going to have some pretty big implications. Now, it's not to say Gohan was an ineffective leader, but no one followed his plans. I feel like with Piccolo being the team leader here, people will actually be more inclined to follow him. Why is that? Well, he has a better history of making great decisions. I mean, look at all the past arcs in this series alone. But on top of that, Piccolo is a little bit more intimidating, and I'm not just talking in terms of power, I just mean his demeanor. People aren't really going to want to go against him. Not to say he's scary, but he's kind of scary. But he does have some pretty good plans. Mainly, he wants everyone to fight together, which is a pretty obvious one. As for the humans, he wants them to focus on staying in the ring. No offense to them, but they are the weakest of the group and they might have trouble with this. They could form whatever groups they want, and they decide to go with Ten and Yamcha, and then Roshi and Krillin. Goten and Trunks also have to always remain by his side. They're strong, but he wants to keep them in check. I mean, they obviously aren't as practiced as everyone else on the team. They don't have that many experience in fights, especially one like this. Of course, they train a lot more than they did in the original story, hence why they're here in the first place. But he does still want to keep an eye on them, and if they're not with him, at least be beside Goku, Vegeta, or Gohan. Reluctantly, they do agree to this. And Piccolo has one more idea. Well, actually 2. They need to figure out ways for people to stay in the ring, in case people get knocked out. There's no rules of pulling people back in the ring, so Piccolo does get some ideas. For one, he's going to use his ability to stretch his arms and such. I don't get why he never used this originally, but with him as a leader here, hopefully that thought crosses his mind. He realizes, hey, maybe I should use this overpowered ability to actually help myself in this tournament. He's not going to make that stupid decision here. Or a better way to phrase it is that there won't be a lack of a good decision. Also, he does something that sounds kind of goofy to everyone else, but when you think about it, it might actually be pretty genius. So, Namekians can change their size and such, as well as stretching themselves out. And if they can grow bigger, who's to say they can't grow smaller? What, is he gonna be like Ant-Man and crawl up people's butts and then expand? No. Well, maybe, that might be a good idea, but that would kill people, so he'd get eliminated. No. He splits himself into two, except one of the clones is very weak. The main Piccolo keeps most of the power. This other Piccolo is there for another good reason. He begins shrinking down. It's your boy Tiny Piccolo. What the hell is a Tiny Piccolo gonna do? Well, this is gonna help Piccolo stay in the ring. And mainly the others too. There'll always be a Piccolo lurking about. Since they do this before the tournament, none of the other teams will know about it. But there's always gonna be a Piccolo lurking about, just to make sure no one falls out of the ring. And this Tiny Piccolo can stretch his arm out if anyone falls out, grabbing them and pulling them back in. There's also another person that could help with this. Besides the main Piccolo, obviously, there's Yamcha. He could use a Spirit Ball. It's a very maneuverable technique, and it's probably something that's easy to replicate, but this is actually his idea. And people decide that they're gonna copy him. If someone falls out of the ring, they could just create a Spirit Ball or something like it to knock someone else back into the ring. Damn, it feels good to be recognized for once. He's just as happy as Tiny Piccolo. And now, the tournament itself finally begins. So at first, it becomes pretty clear that Universe 7 is going to be ahead of the other universes. Even though they don't have Frieza or the androids on the team, I mean, consider the team that they have right now. The humans are the same. Obviously, we do have Yamcha there too. Of course, he's a weaker option than Frieza, but he's still a good option. And we have Goten and Trunks in place of the androids. In terms of strength, they are decently powerful. It's just that they're not as practiced as the other fighters. Another downside is that Gohan might be weaker than his canon self. Without the access to Ultimate that he had originally, even with his insane training here, he probably still would be a bit behind where he was normally. Not by a significant amount, but enough to note. Although, these disadvantages are nullified by the advantages that they have. Look at Piccolo, Goku, and Vegeta. They're so much stronger than normal. I mean, Piccolo's obvious, I don't need to cover that, that's what the last two parts are for. As for Vegeta, well, he's already got access to Blue Evolution. So it's pretty clear that he's stronger than normal. And as for Goku, it's not like he has Blue Evolution or anything. But Blue Kaioken is where he really gets to show off. As I mentioned before, he's been training a bit with Piccolo to work on Kaioken more and more. This helps him get a better grasp on it, using it more efficiently, and being able to use it at higher levels. Obviously, it's still going to have some downsides. It's going to be pretty draining at high levels, and it's going to tear his body apart. But with the better practice and the tips that he got from Piccolo, he's able to pull it off at higher levels, and at the lower levels, he's able to use it more efficiently. He's definitely going to want to test that out in this tournament. It's not like he's going to be at Blue Kaioken the whole time, but if he goes into times 20 or something, it's not going to be incredibly draining. And he did use it pretty efficiently in the normal version of the story, so imagine what he could do here with it. We'll be seeing more of that later on. Speaking of transformations, Piccolo decides that he's going to start fighting a Namekian god. It's a nice balance for him. It gives him a boost in power, while not being too draining in stamina like his blue form would be, or any Kaioken variant. And obviously he can stack Kaioken on top of it if he does need to. But they actually do have a better idea. Goku and Vegeta are going to be utilizing their Super Saiyan God forms as well. Of course, they'd probably pace themselves by using Super Saiyan first. But eventually they will need to pull out Super Saiyan God. Although, they have something really nice that they could utilize, the God to Blue switch. This allows them to attack with all the power of Super Saiyan Blue, while having that great efficiency that Super Saiyan God would have since it's a lower level. And Piccolo would probably have access to something similar. So far in the series, I'm treating the Namekian God forms just like the Super Saiyan God forms. It's supposed to be a variant of that. And they're able to use this very efficiently. Universe 7 gets a lot of eliminations at first, although at one point, Goku's gonna decide to try and fight Jiren. This is where things begin to slow down for him, or I guess speed up, because now he's in the most intense fight he's ever been in. He begins fighting this guy, and Jiren's way stronger than he ever could have expected. He knew that this guy had an insane presence, but not like this. Goku has to power up into Blue Kaioken even. And no, not just Kaioken times 20, he buffs it up to times 50. Jiren notices this great increase in power. Pretty impressed, but still not really that moved. He's not going to be fazed by just Kaioken times 50 on top of Blue. Alright, well if that's not going to faze him, Goku decides to try something else. He basically turned into a glowing ball of red and blue energy, mixing them together creating a brilliant purplish light. He screams, with it bellowing through the entire arena. Times 100. Everyone hears this and turns over, seeing this brilliant flash of light. With his higher power in general, on top of the obvious fact that he's using Blue Kaioken times 100 right now, he's actually able to do some damage to Jiren. Not a lot, but before, it's basically like fighting a brick wall. Now, he's pushing Jiren back, and Jiren's attacks aren't hurting him anymore. Well, Kaioken's kind of hurting him, but Goku's able to defend more effectively. He's a lot faster now, and his attacks are more potent, but still, this isn't enough. Until someone else joins in fighting alongside him. It's Piccolo. He tells Goku he has a plan, communicating telepathically, saying just to hold Jiren off for a bit. Piccolo briefly fights Jiren so he doesn't get suspicious. But then Piccolo backs off, and Goku wonders what he's gonna do, and Piccolo tries something very risky. He goes to Blue Kaioken. This isn't the risky thing, but he maxes out to such a high level that he doesn't even know what multiplier is at. He just screams, "Maximum Blue Kaioken." Similar to Goku, he creates that same bright light. It's at the point where Piccolo just becomes a blur. No one can even see him or what he's doing. He tries hitting Jiren with attacks, using a hit and run strategy. And at the same time, this is meant to be a distraction. Above the ring, there's a glowing ball of energy. One that's very small right now, but it begins charging. And no one notices it yet because they're too distracted by this fight. Although, the rest of Universe 7 notices this, and Piccolo talks with them telepathically. Start lending their energy. He's using a spirit bomb. Wow, Goku's impressed. He would have never thought Piccolo would have learned this technique, but it kind of makes sense given his training with King Kai. It's just weird to see him use this. Everyone begins lending their energy, and just to make sure everyone keeps being distracted, they power up even more. Piccolo's at such a high level right now. Kaioken is so high. His body's being torn apart, but the multiplier is insane. On top of Blue, he's probably getting thousands of times stronger. Goku has to turn off Blue Kaioken times 100, just going into regular Blue right now. But he lends as much energy as he can. The Spirit Bomb is finally charged. A massive ball of energy hovers above the arena, and it's launched right towards Jiren. Obviously, at some point, Jiren's gonna notice this. I mean, it's a giant ball of energy in the sky. But he's not too phased until it gets closer and closer, and then he senses the immense power of it. This might actually be a challenge, and it's being pushed by Piccolo too, who's still using maximum Blue Kaioken. Jiren tries pushing it back, but he's attacked by Goku at the same time, and then even Vegeta and Gohan. The Spirit Bomb gets pushed further and further, with Goku then jumping up to help Piccolo push it. Jiren has to show off more strength, and Piccolo realizes he's not going to be able to push it much further, but he has another idea. He detonates it. It's risky, very risky, and it might even kill some people in the ring, but this is their best shot at eliminating Jiren. Jiren doesn't expect it either. The bomb is literally right in front of his face at this point, and then it explodes with such power that it actually knocks him all the way back through the rocks outside of the ring too. And just to make sure he's knocked out for good, Piccolo stretches out both of his arms, grabbing on different parts of the ring, slingshotting himself towards Jiren. He stretches his leg out as far as it can go, trying to kick Jiren down, and Jiren grabs onto Piccolo's leg. He'll take Piccolo out with him, but Piccolo just simply cuts his leg off. And now, Jiren's holding onto his severed leg that he can't even do anything with. He falls out of the ring, and Jiren's been defeated. Of course, it's a bit anticlimactic. I mean, he got knocked out by a shockwave. But at the same time, it worked. Piccolo knew how risky this would be, and they trust his judgment. Goku would have loved to fight Jiren, but maybe they would have to wait for some other time. Goku and Piccolo are both very out of stamina right now. They do need to rest a bit, but they're in better shape than normally. Or at least Goku is, because he didn't just use Ultra Instinct and use all of his power. As for Piccolo, yeah, he's gonna need a bit of a rest, but that's fine. Vegeta's gonna pick up the slack for them. Especially because now, he's gonna be fighting Toppo. Although, it's not gonna be as great as usual because he already has Blue Evolution, and he's probably ahead of himself in terms of power in comparison to normally. And without Toppo going into his God of Destruction mode, that actually makes this fight kinda easy. Toppo does contemplate it, but before he can even do it, Vegeta ends up knocking him out of the ring because he feels like this is a waste of time. He doesn't know about this God of Destruction mode, so it's not like he can coax it out of him. And there goes two of the strongest fighters so far. Sure, there are still some strong people in the ring, such as the Universe 6 Saiyans, or even Hit from Universe 6 too. Hit is the hardest to fight at the moment, with Goku and Vegeta also fighting the Universe 6 Saiyans. And at some point, Kale's rage shows as she goes into her Berserk form, and this is actually a problem. She keeps getting stronger and stronger as she continues to fight. Goku and Piccolo are pretty much out of energy at this point. If they had their full strength, they'd be able to do this pretty easily, but after the fights with Jiren and Hit, it's a bit tough, so Vegeta has to try and fight her. At least just for the moment, while Goku begins charging up an attack. He asks Goten and Gohan for their help, and they do the same. Vegeta's able to hold off Kale pretty easily, letting Goku charge his attack. He can tell that Goku has a worthwhile plan, or whatever it is. Kale continuously tries to attack Goku, but Vegeta's able to stop her, and then eventually, Goku's attack is charged up. He shouts, launching a Kamehameha alongside Gohan and Goten. A family Kamehameha is sent in the direction of Kale, knocking her clean out of the ring. The beam is also so massive that they maneuver it around the ring, basically sweeping up everything. They tell everyone to duck or jump above it, with the rest of their teammates getting warned. And there's still a few people that are remaining in the ring, but this is what knocks them out. The family Kamehameha sweeps around, cleaning house and ensuring victory for Universe 7. Piccolo ends up being the victor, with Tiny Piccolo then jumping out too. He was able to keep a lot of the humans in the ring. Universe 7 actually had no eliminations, thanks to Tiny Piccolo and Yamcha. Their strategy worked perfectly, way better than they thought even. And with Piccolo being the MVP, well, he has a pretty obvious wish. He's gonna wish for the universes to be restored. It's the most logical one, and with Zeno there watching, he feels like this might be a test if anything. This might also just piss Zeno off if this isn't what he wanted, but Piccolo takes the risk anyways, and it turns out he was right. All the other universes are brought back, and the Tournament of Power concludes with a peaceful ending. Sadly, there's not going to be a Broly movie because there's no Frieza. As for Moro, there are going to be some changes here, but it's going to be very slight. A lot of the arc goes normally at first, with Goku and Vegeta going to Namek, and even with their greater power, their fights go pretty much the same. The changes begin to take place on Earth though. Once Moro's crew attacks Earth, this is where things get really bad for Moro. 7-3 and everyone else are defeated relatively easily. I mean, it's Gohan and Piccolo there. They're gonna have an easy job doing this. Of course, Moro is still out in space going stronger and stronger. But now, he's not gonna have 7-3 as a backup plan. He hears news of this, and he's angered. He would attack Earth right now, but Goku and Vegeta are off somewhere else training. He'd rather go when they're there so he can eat their energy. And also there's something else to note here. Goku never got Ultra Instinct in the tournament, so what's he gonna do here? I feel like Mayris might fly the idea by him, and Goku could start training with it. It's gonna be very tough for him to access this if at all, especially since he doesn't know how it feels since he's never used that before. So he might not actually get Ultra Instinct in this arc. As for Vegeta, he has a good idea though. He ends up going to Yardrat to learn Spirit Fission. And after the time passes, eventually Moro arrives on Earth. Thankfully with Piccolo and Gohan there, they are able to hold him off. I mean, Piccolo's incredibly strong as we've seen so far. Eventually Goku does arrive. He's grown a lot stronger thanks to his training with Mayris, even if he doesn't have Ultra Instinct yet. He and Piccolo work together to fend off Moro, and eventually someone else joins in. Vegeta teleports in, using Blue Evolution and attacking Moro using Force Spirit Fission. Moro suddenly feels drained. What the hell's happening to him? And this time he doesn't have 7-3 as a backup plan. He continues getting his energy drained from Vegeta, with Vegeta returning all the energy elsewhere across the universe. Moro even returns to his old state completely. What the hell? And now he's wide open. Just to make sure he doesn't absorb any energy, Gohan forms a Galactic Donut, closing Moro's mouth shut. Together, Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo show off their combined strength and kill Moro. Everything turned out pretty well. And I could go into the Granola arc, but first of all, that's more focused around Goku and Vegeta. Also, I'm recording this way earlier than you probably think. Right now, it's actually January 30th. I know this video is like 3 months away, so the arc's not actually over yet, and I don't think it's worth it to cover it right now. Even if it were finished, it's not really focused around Namekians besides Monaido, I guess. Who knows though? If that changes, you might see a part 4, probably not though. So, that means this is the end for now. What'd you guys think about this series? And would you like to see anything like this in the future? Leave any thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you'd like the video, be sure to drop a like. It lets me know that you guys want to see more videos like this, and it really helps out the channel. If you haven't already, why not subscribe? As well as hitting the bell icon to be notified about any future uploads on my channel, including any other uploads like this one or just other videos in general. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting this entire scenario all the way through, and I'll see you all in my next video.